like these guys are in. So game number 1 of our finals. Let's go ahead and get things cracking. And man, you know what? We haven't seen too many gold or Nagais on a lot of teams, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 making to the finals with this dynamic duo. Is he going to be using it against Sera? I don't see any Grumpers. I don't see a lot of nature present. So maybe the Nagais feels decently well. So we'll see if it still catches the ban.
You know, it's almost weird seeing the stark polar opposites of some of these tournaments. I mean, just last weekend during 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏's 3v3, it was Naga Guldur all over the place during the Champions King of the Hill previously. I don't know if it was last weekend or not. It has been a long week. it was also, I mean, so many Naga Guldurs. And now we come in here tonight and it's just aggression leading the charge, pulling through to the finals. Two incredibly aggressive teams. I mean, the Turbos on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's side, along with this 𝗬𝗏𝗏 𝗬𝗏𝗏, and as we've talked about Ishir this entire time, just the pure aggression of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is a scary team, no matter how much you may counter it. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏 does have options. He definitely knows how to fight against aggro teams. He just did so very well against Ricky. But this is looking pretty scary.
Yeah, you know, I feel like we've seen Sera's team somewhere in the past, or maybe it's just all the Temtems he's recruited here today. They're all just, you know, high A, you know, no B tier Temtems. Maybe some of them are, but just every single Tem on his lineup really packs a punch, ready to get things going. Yeah, so there's no really like niche Temtems for Sera. Just keeping things pedal to the metal, full throttle is what he's thinking this entire tournament. And that's exactly what brought him here to the finals. But 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a heck of a tamer as well. Starting things off with the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏. We'll see. Interesting start for both sides. I can't see any clear advantage. Of course, Water Cannon does a good amount onto 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏. Turn 2 kind of going 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's way though, right? With that crazy 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏 wreck. If it lives.
I guess you could say it goes both ways though, because a crystal bite or sharp stabs onto 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 would be pretty killer, and 2 water cannons on 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏 would be scary. So I think they both have a pretty good lead here. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 with a slight advantage on turn 1 just because of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's lack of a no-hold move. You know, really just with that double gash, or some people run drill impact, but double gash definitely the more popular of the two. It's not going to be too much of a threat towards anything on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's side so far.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm loving these bans on both tamers. So 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 eliminating the wind Temtems on Sera's side, and Sera gonna be eliminating things that really eat 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 really well, or just eat a lot of physical pressure really well, being the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So just fantastic bans for both of these tamers. And Sera, the monkey, has been the MVP of the tournament. Is he going to be recruiting it for the finals game number 1? I mean, doesn't feel the best against the Guldur 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Maybe 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 could do a little bit more. But it feels good against the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I think 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 a little bit better here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I mean, we saw it against... we saw it against Kami earlier, and it just did so much damage. I think like more than 50% to an Yggdrasil at some point. So 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 on its own is able to carry some of these games, and I think we saw this snare 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 earlier too. So that could be pretty effective if he takes away, you know, Volirandir 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's gear. I think early on though, I mean, you kind of mentioned 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 had the really good lead. I like his options here. I think that heat up on 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 and just throw any old attack towards this 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and then a 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 swap in on turn 2 for the 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 synergy, give you that priority. And nobody really wants that except for maybe Kiinu, but even that's not very happy.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Kiinu's the only thing that really eats the 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So priority number 1 for Sera is eliminate the 𝗧𝗲𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So probably throwing everything in the kitchen sink that way. We'll see. Double gash does connect. Oh, it does a bit more than, of course, it's neutral damage because of the earth typing. So 20%. That means this water cannon. Where are we going with this? 40%.
Down to 39%. The Guldur coming out does mean that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is afraid. But if 𝗧𝗵𝗶 isn't able to wreck before it's taken down from a speedy 𝗬𝗬𝗧, then 𝗀𝗀𝗇R's presence isn't going to make enough of a difference.
Yeah, I think 𝗬𝗧 bringing out 𝗀𝗀𝗪 to try to put a different kind of thought in Sera's head there. Is 𝗀𝗀𝗪 staying in just a toxic ink? Is 𝗧𝗵𝗶 just going to be the one swapping out? But it looks like Sera not going to be risking it, bringing in the 𝗬𝗫, and maybe hoping the Fire Quiz lives. But yeah, 𝗧𝗵𝗶 wreck saved for the rainy day, so that's what the 𝗀𝗀𝗪 came in to do. So not too bad on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, 𝗂𝗏𝗏 takes that water cannon just fine. The toxic ink, after the toxic tick, does almost 50%. A cute little 45 onto this 𝗂𝗀𝗃. I mean, combine that with a Nox Bomb this turn, and it's doing quite a lot more. The toxic on both ends can just target down both spots, and neither 𝗂𝗀𝗃 or 𝗬𝗫 are very happy about that.
Yeah, so maybe you just try to cover both. Maybe just toxic ink the 𝗬𝗫, Noxious Bomb the 𝗂𝗀𝗃. I mean, Sera, knowing that this toxic heavy board could just swap into some of these crystal Temtems, half damage, but instead bringing in the move flank, maybe trying to get 𝗬𝗀𝗪's synergy online. Oh man, is that risky.
Yeah, I mean, 𝗬𝗀𝗪's synergy would be nice damage. The 𝗂𝗀𝗃 takes a Feather Catling, so it looks like Rishi expecting a swap to come through instead, but the 𝗬𝗀𝗪 Lenyo does so much damage. Toxic ink targeting the move flank means no one noticed procs today, and the toxic tick does mean that was a pretty decent amount of damage at 30% on entry.
Yeah, not too shabby. Both of these tamers doing so good. Now Sera has a question here. HKS is online. I'm pretty sure it's enough to do that final 26.3. Is he just gonna be swapping in the 𝗬𝗫 here? And does Mr. Rishi want to keep this 𝗂𝗏𝗏 on the battlefield? Because I believe a Goring, I think one 𝗬𝗀𝗪 Lenyo did all that. I'm pretty sure one Goring would do the rest. Even a base jump might be doing the rest. So whose Tems are going down here?
Yeah, I wonder if the Goring would even be fast enough to outspeed a Feather Gatling. But no, 𝗂𝗏𝗏, he takes his HKS and he leaves. Hold that for later as well. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, definitely doesn't mind any of those neutral techniques, despite not having the best physical defenses. But this 𝗬𝗫 buff is pretty nice for moveflank. From this HP, after this toxic tick, it might not be enough to protect it against a beta burst. But we'll definitely have to see. Sometimes moveflank can be built with quite a lot of special defense investment.
Yeah, I mean, it's already a bulky Temtem. So yeah, we could definitely see that 𝗬𝗫 buff making a bit more bulky, of course. But you know, brilliant job for Mr. Rishi. If that is an unnoticed move flank, I think it is, because we didn't see Hurry Warp proc up anywhere. So he's just doing a fantastic job keeping that move flank from increasing in any kind of speed. Because he could have just easily toxic inked that 𝗂𝗀𝗪 spot, but maybe thinking something like 𝗬𝗬𝗪 was coming in. But now this 𝗏𝗏𝗪 looking to have a great time on this board. Doesn't really get pressure from the move flank, doesn't really get pressure from the 𝗬𝗫. So just has a good range to go into. So let's see, does he want to just maybe tornado the 𝗬𝗫, or is he going into that move flank spot, which is now the 𝗬𝗬𝗪?
Yeah, 𝗬𝗬𝗪 comes in revitalizing itself. Is this 𝗬𝗫 back up to 100%? Beta burst from this 𝗏𝗏𝗪, it is going to do some pretty good neutral damage thanks to that melee typing of the toxic ink on 𝗬𝗫. Revitalize was necessary so it could leave and come back later. Because now after this toxic tick, he's all the way down to 34%.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. Rishi getting a bit of the better reads there. And yeah, just getting the good old toxic tick on the 𝗬𝗫. Look at the HP on Sera's Temtem slowly but surely falling down. I mean, the same could be said, but those were just the opening Temtems for Mr. Rishi. Or not the 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗪, but the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 was. But both of those Tems in the back line have their techniques online. 𝗧𝗵𝗶 with the wreck, 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗪 with the HKS. So we'll see how those make an impact later on. But the move flank replacing the 𝗬𝗫.
Yeah, good sharp steps of the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, but it holds on. So tornado towards this move flank. Potentially, no, not enough to kill either. So priority used on both sides. That means 𝗬𝗬𝗪 can definitely outspeed this following turn, unless 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just wants to energy manipulate. But that's not going to do too much at all to anybody anymore. 𝗏𝗏, this is a fantastic turn for 𝗏𝗏 now. This is, you know, the most that it can take is a Toxic Ink, which means that this is a very free Madness buff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I'm impressed that 𝗬𝗎𝗏𝗎's Barnchi from 70% lived that sharp stab. Well done with those calculations on TVs. And yeah, move flank being one Kinu buff did survive that tornado, but I agree with you, Rawrzyyy. I think Madness buff looking rather free. Barnchi doesn't want to stay in. Of course, Crystal Spike could go his direction. And it's just a hook kick covering all bases there. 𝗬𝗧 so fast. We'll be going first, but this is maybe exactly what Sera needed to really bring things back against 𝗬𝗎𝗏𝗎. Madness buff 𝗏𝗏 is online. However, oh no, the Kinu's still alive, so able to get up a couple more defenses if Sera elects to do so.
Well, I think this might be the time now for Rishi to unleash this wreck with synergy on the 𝗬𝗧. It would definitely do the deed against both 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗬𝗧 on Sera's side, and it kind of forces that swap into 𝗂𝘀𝗶 Kinu, and from +2 at these HP ranges, that might be enough as well.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't know if there's anything Sera could do to mitigate this damage. I'm pretty sure, as you said, the Kinu will even go down. So 2 Tems most likely going down. Yeah, I think this is 100% looking like a double kill. 𝗬𝗧, if it stays in, it goes down. 𝗏𝗏 stays in, and there's no cage on the current battlefield. So gold. Oh, wait a second. What did we miss, Rawrzyyy? Why was that not a 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wreck?
I guess trying to play the prediction game, force the swap and double swap first. I think that, you know, 𝗬𝗧 getting all of its holds back up for every technique, and Vôlorend, I mean, if the swaps had come through, Vôlorend would have countered both 𝗂𝘀𝗶 and Kinu very well, but no, 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗬𝗧 stay in. They risk their lives, and there's no wreck to be had.
Oh,
that might be GG for Sera.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, I believe 𝗬𝗎𝗏𝗏𝗏 was scared that 3 prio double up on the monkey would have been enough to kill, and I think I agree. I think sharp stab plus the Crystal Spike, especially considering the Madness buff Crystal Spike, would have probably been enough for the 𝗧𝗵𝗆. So really good read. But the question here, V, was worried this Crystal Spike would still outspeed the monkey. That means 𝗬𝗧 is going to be fallen. But still, 𝗧𝗵𝗆 doesn't necessarily need the melee synergy. So things are still looking decently good for 𝗬𝗎𝗏𝗏𝗏. But not looking too bad. I mean, it's just final 3 Temtems. Yeah, I think 𝗧𝗵𝗆 has to get a double kill here, regardless of any swaps.
I'm not sure if swapping was the right play. I'm still wrapping my mind around that. I think that, you know, even taking those hits, was that his best option? Because now if I don't even know, it seems like it's such a difficult situation. Sera could either stay in and just attack once more, but potentially risk both of these Tems' lives, or double swap, and then he's in a fantastic position facing down a 𝗧𝗵𝗆 that isn't able to wreck anymore.
And there we go. We said a double kill. A double kill was on the horizon, and there we have it, guys. Double kill is indeed what we get. So 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wreck doing exactly what was intended to do. And you know, 𝗬𝗧, I wish he had a heat up, because that would be a perfect turn. But Crystal Bite going on to Sera himself. If you guys remember on Yu-Gi-Oh, you hurt the master. Crystal Bite just destroyed Sera the Tamer. But alright, guys, final 2 Temtems for Sera. Kinu buffing up this 𝗏𝗏. And now without 3 prio 𝗧𝗵𝗆𝗆 wreck, is this 𝗏𝗏 gonna get carried away?
I mean, the best situation here is Rishi does have hook kick available, because he tried to use Crystal Bite last time, I believe. So it can be that hook kick plus uppercut into 𝗏𝗏, and only one of his Tems can die this turn.
So true. Let's check it out. Which of those Tems are going down? I think only 𝗬𝗧 falls down. So 4 prio move, 𝗬𝗧 does go down. So uppercut shouldn't bring it down, but 93. Wow. So I think just enough to take it down. The question is, does the Crystal Spike kill the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 from 39? I don't think so. Let's find out.
Ooh, no. 𝗧𝗵𝗶, that was incredible. Holds on just barely at 7.9%. The wreck comes through to kill this 𝗏𝗏. 2 Tems remaining somehow on Rishi's side despite a really good showing. Rishi does take game 1.
That is right. Incredible stuff. Mr. Rishi getting game number 1. Well done.
Would have been the 𝗏𝗏, seeing how fast those Sera's Tems were towards the end of that game.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, if 𝗏𝗏 outsped, I think 𝗧𝗲 is also outsped. So I think that was just a good call for Mr. Rishi, understanding the speeds on the board. 𝗧𝗲 is tied for number 1st, and then 𝗏𝗏, I believe, the 3rd fastest Temtem in the game, not counting 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗆, 𝗧𝗲, you know, counting those all together. Well, let's see. The 𝗏𝗏 does get the ban. I believe the same ban from game number 1. And Sera doing the same ban, doesn't like to play against a Naga with all the speedy aggression on his team.
Yeah, and Rishi banning that 𝗏𝗏, even though he has 𝗬𝗏 and �ґ𝗏𝗄, you know, and the Volarend is also a pretty good option. It just does so much damage to Mashuk and to 𝗧𝗵𝗶. Rishi doesn't want to risk taking, you know, taking the damage or having that wind resistance towards his Rex. So 𝗏𝗏, of course, is a fantastic ban. It would have had a lot of impact. So far, it still seems pretty similar. This time, it is the exact same lead from Rishi with the 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗧𝗵𝗶. Sera deciding to go for a more common 𝗬𝗀 lead. Definitely, some 𝗏𝗏s aren't built to survive this, but we did see this 𝗏𝗏 survive a sharp stabs. So it definitely won't be going down even to a double in this turn.
Yeah, well said. As you said, it was 70%, did not die to the sharp stab. It doesn't have strange rest. We saw earlier in the turn 1, or game 1 rather, it did indeed have a hand fan. So maybe Goring, no, it's not Hurry War. Maybe base jump 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗏 could be enough, but I don't think it'll be enough. Honestly, I think if he stays in, I think the better exchange will be going Mr. Rishi's favor, something like a beta burst, and then the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 getting the rather free heat up, because you know, turn 1 the water cannon came through. So if he doesn't water cannon the 𝗧𝗵𝗶, makes 𝗧𝗵𝗶 a little bit easier, and 𝗧𝗵𝗶 quite literally wrecks almost the entire team of Sera's team. So yeah, if he lets that go away, trying to prioritize the monkey, or trying to prioritize the 𝗏𝗏 there, we'll see. I think Mr. Rishi looking decently well for that opener.
This could also just be, you know, the very aggressive lead that we've now come to expect from Sera, trying to get the base jump and water cannon onto 𝗧𝗵𝗶 would probably bring 𝗧𝗵𝗶 down into death's range from this 𝗂𝘀 the following turn. It would be sacrificing this move flank. But I mean, really, the only other value that move flank would be bringing is a little bit of physical damage onto Volarend. And with both 𝗬𝗏 and 𝗧𝗵𝗶 in the back, I don't think that Sera is lacking in that department.
Oh, Mr. Rishi reading the Goring water cannon most likely going in, but no, it looks like Sera, wait a second, this is going to be huge damage, 88%. That is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beta burst effective damage onto move flank still doesn't even do as much damage as was just dealt to 𝗏𝗏. So Sera with a really good, I guess, counter to the counter read, you know, knowing that this 𝗧𝗵𝗶, you know, it might heat up. I probably have some answers to it due to my speed. He doesn't have this 𝗬𝗏 here. It's only the Mashuk for synergy, and I can probably handle that, right? I've got this 𝗂𝗀𝗃 in the back.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, I think Mr. Rishi, I mean, he had reason to believe that 𝗧𝗵𝗶 being as big as a threat as he is against Sera's team was going to get doubled into. Something like going water cannon probably brings the, not going, but base jump water cannon probably brings the 𝗏𝗏, or the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 somewhere relatively close to where the 𝗏𝗏 got, but the cage. But wait, 𝗏𝗏 is neutrality, so it's not affected, but it looks like it just stayed in. So maybe just looking to tornado the move flank to go out swinging here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely tornado move flank will be enough to bring it down. The synergy on the turbo as well means that Mashuk is +2. And we did see how much of a difference even just a +1 made in the semifinals. So getting this speed on 𝗵𝗂𝗃, confirming that your tenderness is going to go first, is very, very good at some of these, very strong physical attackers.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a game of inches, right? So that +2 speed will most likely make a difference. Let's see what Sera electing to bring out here. I mean, Kiinu feels decently just to pressure out the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 a tad little bit. 𝗵𝗏𝗏 has no Kiinu recruited here. So not buffed up 𝗵𝗂𝗃, not the best special defense. So we'll see how Sera does indeed bring out Kiinu. So I'm wondering, okay, I was thinking of Toxic Temtem just to set up the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 Urshels too. But I like what you were saying too, Rawrzyyy. Tenderness, always a heck of a play. P-Jab, always a heck of a play. But let's see. Both sides bringing in some Temtem. So Kiinu on the side of Sera. Golder on the side of 𝗵𝗏𝗏. This Golder, though, I don't think Sera played a lot of Golders today, because this Golder alone doing so much against the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we start off with some of these Temps still trapped in from that cage. They can't leave. They have to take some of these hits. So 𝗂𝘀 is going to be just destroyed by that Urushiel. The Toxic Ink as well, doubling into the 𝗂𝘀, not deciding to get ticks on both Kiinu and 𝗂𝘀, potentially expecting a swap instead. 𝗵𝗂𝗃, it is put to sleep, so he probably wants to leave this turn, not risk taking another beta burst with, I mean, really only a single Toxic Ink to answer. When I think that Toxic Ink probably has to target this 𝗂𝘀 to try and kill it this turn.
Yeah, of course, the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 is sleeping currently, and I think Sera slept the 𝗵𝗂𝗃, even though it was at +1 speed, just a little bit fearsome that the Colder was wearing the energy drink. I can't remember if it was in the previous games. I believe it's only revealed when Hypnosis goes onto the Temtem, so we didn't get to see that just yet. But I think you're right. I mean, you know what though, Rawrzyyy? The 3 ticks to Toxic do end up killing the 𝗂𝘀 from this HP, so he could ignore it, target the Kiinu, because if Kiinu wants to stay in and revitalize the 𝗂𝘀 to take it out of that toxic tick, then Kiinu will be punished for staying in, because 𝗂𝘀 is out of stamina. So I mean, you could take it down. Don't let any more Quetzaleños or water cannons coming out. But I don't think it's too bad to target that Kiinu spot as well.
I mean, okay, yeah, so the 𝗂𝘀 is retreating. That's kind of like a sacrifice play, I guess. If it doesn't come back out in time, it is just going to die in the back to the poison. Hypno onto 𝗵𝗂𝗃, expecting somebody else going to swap into that spot. So 𝗵𝗂𝗃 not taking a beta is very nice for Rishi. Wasting a Hypnosis as well, saying that there can't be anything this turn is also potentially pretty good. I still don't know if this 𝗵𝗂𝗃 is very happy, just because of that Kiinu, but everyone clicking very quickly. They know what they want to do. 𝗬𝗓𝗃 comes through. That is synergy for the wreck. Probably what we're about to see, but Urushiel with the synergy as well. I mean, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 is taking half damage. The wreck comes through. This 𝗵𝗂𝗃 with Parrier isn't going to mind it too much. This Golder with all of its blubber is not going to mind it at all. And it was kind of negated.
Yeah, not too bad. And of course, the Toxic Ink, only 1 tick because of resistance, but this is looking good. You know what? I like what you said earlier. The beta burst on 𝗵𝗂𝗃, it was already at +2 speed, so the beta burst would have gone after 𝗵𝗂𝗃's turn. So that was just some free damage on 𝗵𝗂𝗃, but of course, Sera reading the swap out. But 𝗵𝗂𝗃 really didn't want to go anywhere. It was just chilling. It could have just rested there. But things are looking decently well for 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏. Voldrin coming back out. So is that a Urshel? Oh, no. Oh, it is. Man, I think the technique of the finals is Urshel. Urshel every single Temtem. And I believe the 𝗂𝘀 in the back line is dying this turn to a Toxic Tick. Let's take a look. Yeah, 8.6%.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a trade from the grave. As 𝗵𝗂𝗃 gets taken down, he hasn't touched that 𝗂𝘀 in so long, but he still gets the kill. There's still 2 more Toxic Ticks as well on both 𝗬𝗓𝗃 and 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗏, so that is some pretty good damage. A lot of Urushiel just keeping them down for a little while. Now 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗏, on Rishi's side, he's not really feeling too much pressure. He could take a hook kick that would hurt quite a little bit. but I don't know if he's really afraid for his life at this moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. The only thing 𝗧𝗵𝗆 on 𝗧𝗵𝗺 is, or 𝗧𝗵𝗆 for 𝗧𝗵𝗆cie's monkey is not online. So having to rely on something just simple like an uppercut, but instead gonna be swapping out to the big boy Golder, trying to eat up any kind of damage there. 𝗧𝗵𝗆, these are the two Temtems that are most able to eat up that damage. It is melee synergy, so it will be chunking quite a bit. Where does 𝗬𝗧𝗇 target? I would assume perhaps this bird.
It has to be stated too, 𝗧𝗵𝗆 just overexerted itself, so these two toxic ticks left, it's down to a quarter of its HP. The hook kick on the Golder is still eating just fine, more and more toxic damage. And now 𝗬𝗺 is looking pretty free to just work up his speed a little bit and get you know, potentially a +2 or +3 HKS onto 𝗬𝗧𝗇.
I think you're right. I mean, so much things going down this game, but the HKS just to guarantee the kill on the Kino. I mean, either or, HKS the 𝗬𝗧𝗇 or not, I think would have worked out in 𝗬𝗺cie's favor. But Sera, final two Temtems remaining to his name. Harmful Lick, does it bring it into range? I don't think so. It's gonna be right under 30%. But you know, 𝗧𝗵𝗆 still in the back line, and it was almost just like a threat. Never got to release that 𝗧𝗵𝗆. 𝗬𝗺cie still with 100% 𝗧𝗵𝗆 in the background. And at +2 speed 𝗬𝗺, I believe... actually, these guys are a little bit tanky. +1 defense, +2 defense. So Feather Gatling might not kill. Let's see though.
Yeah, Feather Gatling onto 𝗧𝗵𝗆 isn't enough on its own. Double gash onto 𝗬𝗺 also not enough on its own, so it needs to be doubled in. Because of the +2 speed, he already did what he needed to do. The Toxic Ink doubling in on 𝗧𝗵𝗆, the Toxic Tick confirms the kill. And now, I mean, 𝗬𝗧𝗇 is likely definitely going down before 𝗧𝗵𝗆. So I think that this is a clean 2-0 for Rishi in a dominant fashion, taking down Owsera, who just destroyed all of these top seed players to find himself here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and brilliant stuff coming out for 𝗬𝗺cie. The overexertion on the 𝗬𝗧𝗇 closing it out, as you said, in a 2-0 fashion. So congratulations, 𝗬𝗺cie, with the 2-0, and that makes him a 2-time ever champion in our monthly series.